Hi, everyone. My name is Julia,
And I'm Katie.
and we're the hosts of the Runways and Byways travel podcast. So today we're talking about a place that Katie's been dreaming of going for a long time, and she went recently, so she's been very eager to share her experience, and I've been wanting to hear about it too. So, Katie, you want to introduce today's topic?
Yes, so today's topic is Savannah, Georgia, which seems like a really random place. And it's like, why would anybody want to go there? But I'll tell you why you want to go there because it was definitely hands down one of the best trips of my entire life.
Wow,
Yeah,
that is a bold statement.
it's bold, but it's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
I feel like you've been talking about this place for so long, even on past podcasts, you've constantly brought up Savannah, Georgia. So
Yeah.
I was actually concerned you wouldn't like it because you've been hyping it up so much. And then I
Yes.
was really afraid you'd get there and be like, this isn't what I imagined it to be in my head. So I'm really glad that it was what you imagined it to be, or maybe better. We'll find out.
We'll find out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had the same concern as you did. It's just weird because since September, and I'll get into it, it's been on my heart. And I just knew it would be the right place. And then it was, and it's just wild.
Yeah. I guess you had like your soul was calling you to there.
My soul was calling me there, and thank God it did.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about it. We've really have not talked about it at all. Yeah, we haven't, right?
Not at all. I literally forgot that I didn't even tell you about it until today with the podcast. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, because I brought it up. I was like, "How about Savannah?" And you just like started laughing. You were like, "Oh my God, I forgot. I didn't tell you anything."
Yeah, because I feel like I've been telling everybody about it, but except you. It's like crazy.
Yeah, because I'm not allowed to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
remember
don't
while
think
you
you
were
even watch my
there.
TikToks either.
Yeah, but I just don't go on TikTok. It's just not my thing.
I'll
I,
send you them after and you could see.
yeah, I'll watch your TikTok because I was also like, I
Yeah.
knew you posted it, but I don't really go on TikTok, and also I didn't want to spoil it for myself because I knew we were probably going to do a podcast eventually, so I didn't want to watch it and
Yeah.
be like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think it's
Yeah.
for the best, honestly.
I think so too. So then after I could see and be like, wow, she was right. That's incredible.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah, I would
excited.
like to preface by saying I think I've said this in the past, but I have been to Savannah. I went there for about a day. And so I have seen a lot of these things. I might have mentioned this. But it was like pouring rain the day I went, and I did get to see everything I wanted to see for the most part, but I didn't really get to experience it like Katie did because she was there
Hmm.
for a few days. I don't even know how long you were there, but significantly longer than I was. So I'd like to hear how your experience compares to mine and what I need to go back for because I definitely want to go back.
Yeah. You should.
Yeah, I
But I
will.
guess you'll make that decision later.
Well, I mean, I'm not that far from it anyway. I feel like it's so easy for me to go back.
It's
So,
true.
and me and my husband were both saying after we were there for the day, we were saying that we really wanted to go back because just the weather was not that nice and there was a lot of things we wanted to spend more time doing that we didn't really have the time for. It was really just like a quick stopover type thing. So,
Hmm.
yeah, we both really want to go back and I now I'll have all your tips to be able to do it.
I'm excited. So we'll
Yes.
see after this episode if it's somewhere you'd want to go back to, which
Yeah.
I think it is, but maybe I'm just biased.
I think I already know that it is,
Yeah.
but we shall see.
Yes. Excited.
So, are we ready for the trivia question?
I am ready.
Okay. The question is, what is the only country without mosquitoes? Now,
That's a good question.
I'm gonna preface this by saying Antarctica does not have mosquitoes, but they're not a country really technically, so we're not going to count that. But it's an actual country, so it's not Antarctica. The only country besides Antarctica that does not have mosquitoes.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. So in my head, it's probably a country that doesn't really get too hot or too humid anywhere. That is just my reasoning. Probably not somewhere with a lot of water, even if it is cold, because I feel like mosquitoes are attracted to water. So I'm tempted to say something like Norway or Finland, but I know it has water. So I have to think of somewhere that's cold that doesn't have water.
I mean, I think people would die if there's no water. So,
But I'm talking like giant,
like oceans or lakes, like what kind of
talking lakes, yeah.
lakes? Okay.
Because I feel like mosquitoes hang around lakes even if it's cold.
They do. Mosquitoes are so resilient.
Yeah, I feel like it's nowhere in the continent of Africa. I just feel like they have mosquitoes. I feel like Asia also has mosquitoes. Um, I feel like North America, South America has mosquitoes. Is it anything that we've done a podcast on?
I'm not going to disclose that now, Katie.
Okay, well, I'm gonna think about it.
You have the whole episode to think, and I think that's too big of a hint. Because if I say yes, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I know what it is. And if I say no, then you won't know what it is, but still, I feel like it's just too much.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I understand the rules and boundaries you were setting with me.
If I'm going to give you a point for this, I mean, I know the points mean nothing thus far, but
No, do it right or don't do it at all.
yeah, you got to earn it.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, I'll be thinking about it the whole podcast.
Okay. So will I,
Okay.
even though I already know the answer.
Ooh.
It's just interesting though.
It's a great question,
Yeah,
honestly.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, I don't know how I thought about that.
Good for you.
Thank you. Anyways, so are we ready to jump right into our topic of Savannah, Georgia?
I am.
Okay. So I kind of know the answer to this, but I don't know if you've said this on the podcast before, or if, I don't know, maybe you mentioned it, or if you want to mention it in more detail to me. Maybe you didn't tell me everything, but what made you want to go to Savannah in the first place?
So what made me want to go to Savannah in the first place was my future sister-in-law, Justina, my brother's soon-to-be wife. She recommended it so hardcore on my birthday, which was September. So this was such a long time ago. And she's like, I just went to Savannah over the weekend. You have to go. It's so your vibe, which if you don't know me, my vibe is chill. It's cafes, it's parks, it's food. It's like maybe a few tours here and there, just very easygoing, very walkable. And she's like, it's so you, because she knows I went to Nashville and that's a little bit more party. And she's like, Savannah is still party, which you like to do, but in a more like toned down, very chill kind of way. So I was like, oh, that sounds like the place for me. So that was my initial attraction to Savannah. But I was always kind of like, it's just hard to plan a trip by yourself and all this stuff. I mean, I know I talk about solo trips and I was going to do it. I was, but it had to be the right time to start planning it. I was like, oh, I have so much time from September. I knew I wanted to do it over April break. So I just kind of waited a little bit. So that was kind of how it all started.
Yeah, I remember when you spoke to her about it and you were telling me how badly you wanted to go. And then when I went, I was like, I could see why she wants to go here, but also it was just so gloomy that day that I was like, will she like it? Like I was having a hard time figuring out if you were truly going to like it or not, just because that day that I went was just so not nice.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, I really hope this lives up to her expectations.
Oh, that's very sweet.
You're welcome.
And we'll see if it did.
Well, I think it did.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you were a little nervous about like planning it by yourself, but how did your planning process go? Because obviously you carried through with that.
So my planning process was, like I always say, I'm very spiritual and God and all that stuff. So I put it out there and I said, okay, God, when you're ready for me to start planning it is when I will start planning it. And it went from September to literally January with no planning. And then I hung out with Justina again. And she's like, did you start planning? And I said, no, not January, it's February, it's Valentine's Day. And she's like, did you start planning? And I was like, no. And she's like, what are you doing? Start planning. And it was around Valentine's Day, and I had gotten my boyfriend Michael tickets to see The Lion King for like $300 or something. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to go to The Lion King. I want to go to Savannah. So I just had this big, deep like response to it. I canceled the tickets, got my money back, and I was like, if I'm going to spend this much money, let's do it on plane tickets to Savannah and surprise him. So I had purchased that day plane tickets to Savannah, and for Valentine's Day, that was his gift, was a surprise trip to Savannah. So that was cute.
That's a nice gift.
Yeah, I'm a good gift
take
giver.
Notes. I wish someone would do that for me.
You know, I'm really big into when it's somebody's birthday, for the most part, having experiences rather than a materialistic gift, because I also like to be an active part in celebrating instead of just like clothes or, you know, for the most part, if I can do it, then that's usually my gift that I like.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm way more into experiences than I am into gifts. Like if someone gets me a gift, I'm like, that's really sweet of them. But if they get me an experience, that's like way better to me.
Me too, because I just like to like bond, and I feel like that's what celebrations and holidays are all about, is really bonding with friends and family. So I got him the trip, which I was really excited about. I knew he would love it because I have mentioned it a little bit before, and he's like, "Oh, I'd be so down to go. Let's go." So he kind of knew that was already in my head. And so when I had gotten him the tickets, he could not believe it. He opened it. He was like, "What? Nobody's ever gotten me plane tickets before. This is wild."
Aw.
So yeah, so we were both like super excited about the trip, and we started planning the next day. Like we got our hotel, and we Justina actually recommended a lot of things to do, but you'll see that we really didn't do anything she recommended or that I would recommend for everybody to do, because I don't know, it's Michael and I are a little bit different than maybe like the traditional tourist of Savannah in what we like to do.
Mhm.
But yeah, we started planning pretty immediately of just the hotel, which I'll get into, and different things to do in Savannah.
Yeah, I definitely want you to touch upon what she told you to do also, in addition to your
Mm-hmm.
itinerary, because I was going to ask you about your experience and your itinerary next, but I am curious
Mm-hmm.
what she suggested you do as opposed to what you did, because I
Yes.
think there's a lot of different types of travelers, like there's Justina's type that did what she did, and then there's your type, and I think there's something for everyone in every city, and that's like two different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to hear them
Definitely.
both.
Yes. So Justina had recommended a bunch of different places. One, she said you need to start booking restaurants because they book up quick.
Mm.
She told me about the old Pink House, which I would recommend to people because that is, I think, one of the most famous restaurants in Savannah, which we couldn't even get a reservation. And we booked like, tried to book 2 months in advance. So if you're going to Savannah, you better book up quick for restaurants. She recommended a place called Vic's on the River, which I did get a reservation for. And I booked another place, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's called Fleeting. We didn't end up going, but I looked up the reviews that day and they weren't good. So two places, 100% Vic's on the River and the Old Pink House.
The old pink house, actually, it's funny you bring that up because when I was in Savannah for that short period of time, I was telling myself, okay, I want to hit as much of the things that you have to see while you're there in as little time as possible so I could see everything and then get out of here. And we wound up walking past the old pink house that was on my list. And my husband was like, "Oh, you want to stop in and try to get reservations?" So like it's fun. We wound up not doing that,
Mm,
but it's funny you mentioned that you tried to book 2 months out, and here we were thinking we could just walk in.
that's really funny. But you never know. You really never know because it just like you never know if you could just go in that day because some places are different. So it's
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
I was definitely there during like their quote unquote off season because like I
Mm,
said, it was I think it was January and it was just like really not great weather. So
mhm,
you were definitely there at a nicer time. So maybe their booking is different at different times of the year, but
mm,
I don't think we were getting in.
right. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Something else she recommended us to do was a bunch of tours because Savannah is known as the what is it? The most haunted,
Hauntedest.
most haunted city in America. So they have a bunch of ghost tours, they have cemetery tours, they have river cruises, which isn't haunted, but really cool. You can see the sunset. So
Mhm.
she recommended all that stuff and to book up all that stuff. But I was like, you know what? I'll definitely consider it. Oh, there's also a hop off tour. So you could see the sides of Savannah and just do that for the day. It's about like $40 for the day. We definitely considered that. That was all on our list. And there were some other things, which I'm not going to mention now because we actually did do them. So I'll mention them when I do the itinerary. So we did do some things, but we didn't do the really cool tours and all that stuff.
So why didn't you do the ghost tour? Because I actually remember you were telling me that if you went to
Yes.
Savannah, you would do the ghost tour. So what stopped you?
Okay, so something about my personality is I don't like to feel like I have to do something. Like I get very stressed if something is 100% booked. And that's why I feel like Michael and I are just so perfect because he's cool with that. So basically, what I like to do in a trip is to put out all my options on like a notes app and then wake up that day and see what I'm feeling so I don't feel obligated. I know so many people who that would be like so stressful for them who they're like we need to plan morning, afternoon, night, like everything has to be planned. But if I'm like that, I wouldn't enjoy my trip as much. And especially since Michael's cool with it, he loves that idea. He's kind of like, as long as you're happy and chilling, I'm happy and chilling. So he's kind of like you. Like I'm an ambivert, which I really just depends on my mood, my if I'm more excited or inward, and you're omniverted, where you're kind of like, what everyone else is like, I'm feeling up if everyone else is feeling up, or I'm feeling down, you know what I'm
Just
saying?
like feeding off
So
the
that's him.
environment. Yeah.
Yes, and that's him. So it's kind of like happy girl, happy life. Like, so I was happy to go with somebody like him who's just kind of lets me do my thing. And I had ghost tour on it. If I was like, oh, if we're gonna do a ghost tour, I'm cool with it. But it just for that day, the vibe was not there. Even though in theory that's something I would love, but I couldn't force it that day or that weekend.
Yeah, I feel like a ghost tour is something you need to be into. Otherwise, if you're like jumping onto that, it might just be annoying and weird because it's a very specific thing.
I mean, it sounds so cool. And honestly, if I was going to go back again, I'd 100% do it because I did
Yeah.
all the things that I would love the first time around. But I just felt like we were only there for 2 full days, which I didn't even get into yet. But it wasn't my priority in a trip for that, for
I
that
could see that. There's so many
weekend.
other things to do and see there, and like things
Hmm.
that are more your vibe, like the cafes and the parks. So I feel
Yes.
like you'd so much rather spend your time doing that than sitting on a ghost tour. It's just not
That's kind
you.
of how I felt. It's not me. And honestly, if I went with you and you're like, Katie, let's book it, let's do a ghost tour, I would go and probably be happy. But if it's me, if it's mostly like we're going off of my vibe, then I'm good not going.
I feel like I would never say that.
Exactly. Because you're like him too. You're kind of like go with the flow, chill. I think that's why we get along traveling together because you're not extremely type A, but you're also
Yeah.
not like the most spontaneous person in the world, which I'm not either. Like we're very balanced, I think, as
Yeah,
well.
I like to have somewhat of a plan, but I'm willing to let that plan change.
Me too. Yeah,
I don't
for
like
sure.
having no structure. I think you're a little better with no structure than I am. I like to have
Hmm.
some structure, but like I don't need a plan every minute of the day. It's okay if we have a day or like half a day that to just like go with the flow. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, like I said, I list everything out. So I do have like, that is my structure, is just knowing I have options and then I just go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I do think some things need to be planned in advance. Like if you really want to do it and they do book up, I think you do need to have like some, like it can't just be like I'm gonna write this down and then if I get there and get to do it, like if it's something you really really want to do, I do think you need to kind of book it sometimes. But I think your overall philosophy is pretty healthy.
Thanks.
Love
And yeah, I mean, I think that's also adds to it too, is I think it's cool, but for me, it just wasn't a must do. So that's kind of how I felt about that. And
it.
honestly, the
Yeah.
good thing about Savannah is you could book things the day of and they're really cool with it. Like ghost tours, cemetery tours, hop on, hop off, sunset cruise. They have a little place that you could just go up and buy tickets the day of, and it's perfectly normal. It's really just those restaurants you have to do in advance.
Yeah, I think when you're going somewhere, you have to know if it's something you can book, if you that's something that you have to book in advance, or if it's something you could just walk up and do like those ghost tours.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was there, actually, I remember my husband and I told him like just let's go to the historic district. So he put that into his GPS and it took us to like this parking lot where they just had like a lot of like tour buses and things to book. And I was like, this is weird. But it just
That's
shows you
interesting.
you could just show up and work something out while you're there. Like you don't really need to fully have a plan, which is kind of
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, everyone's different. Justina had a plan from A to B and it worked for her. And that works great with Savannah, but I also had zero plan and that also worked great. So Savannah's kind of a place for all different types of planners or non-planners.
I feel like in general, a lot of smaller type cities are like that. Where you could
Mm,
just kind of show up and do your thing. I think in other places or more popular cities, like I know we had a very difficult time with that in
hmm.
Hawaii, but
Yes.
I think it really depends on the place.
Hmm.
All right, great. So now that we've discussed all the things that your future sister-in-law did, and now I kind of want to get into what you actually did. So let's talk about how you first went there. Tell me about the flight. Tell me about the whole process.
Yeah, so we did things a little bit different. We ended up doing a very small airport instead of, we live in New York, so instead of LaGuardia, JFK, because those flight prices to Savannah are insane. So for the airport that we did is in Westchester, a very small airline. It's called Breeze. I would 100% recommend Breeze to anybody who is trying to do a cheap flight within the domestic United States. Like if you're trying to go to South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, especially Savannah, really good prices. We got ours for half the price of LaGuardia. LaGuardia was charging me for two tickets about $1,000. It was
Wow.
unbelievable, unbelievable. I was like, for
Wow.
what? Savannah? Like, is great, but I didn't think everybody else thought it was great. So my ours was half the price. It was about like 250 per ticket, which still isn't cheap, but I mean,
That's more
compared to
reasonable.
JFK, yeah, it's more reasonable. I was willing to pay that. So definitely would recommend Breeze Airline, Breeze. Very nice, very small aircraft. There was two rows only, and each row had two seats on it. So Michael and I were just like together. We didn't have to share with anybody else, which was really nice. And it was a very smooth ride, only about 2 hours from New York, even less, honestly. We left on a Friday at 7 o'clock. We ended up arriving at 10 o'clock. And Michael decided to rent a car, which was different from what Justina said. She's like, you don't need to, you just do Uber, but he just feels more comfortable. He's like me, like he doesn't want to like rely on anybody. He gets uncomfortable with Ubers. So he's like, I'd rather just spend a bunch of money and get a car, knowing that we could be independent than rely on any kind of transportation, which I'm honestly so glad that we did just to feel comfortable being in our own space. It made me feel really good because I just do not like Ubers.
I was gonna say you guys are a match made in heaven because
Yeah.
you avoid Ubers at all costs.
hmm I would rather spend triple the amount on a car than feel uncomfortable in Uber, and he feels the same way. So we're
Yeah.
on the same page with that. So it was nice. We rented a car. It was a pretty easy process at Savannah, the airport. And then we drove to the hotel, which was confusing because in Savannah, everything is called JW Marriott. That man or that company just owns the entire city of Savannah. So there were a million hotels with JW Marriott. Anybody staying in Savannah, listen to me very carefully. If you're willing to spend a little bit more money, I highly, highly, highly recommend the JW Marriott Riverside Hotel. It gives you the most beautiful view in the whole world of the Savannah River. We spent
Is
even
that
more
real, the
money.
Savannah River? Is that what it's
Oh, it's
actually
real.
called?
Oh, you'll see in my TikTok. It's
No, but
absolutely beautiful. It's
no, I
called
saw
Savannah
the
River.
river, but that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounded made up.
No, it was real. I
It's
didn't
so
no,
funny.
Michael was literally played a game. He's like, Katie, I'm gonna give you a million guesses. What is this river called? I was like, Mississippi. I don't know, JW Marriott. Like, and then he's just like, and then finally he's like Savannah, and I was like, duh.
That's it, really?
Yeah, that's it. So absolutely beautiful. We had a cute little balcony. It was just so worth the extra price. It is pricey, but I just feel like it's so worth it. It was so worth it for us. It was beautiful. Just waking up every day, going to sleep every night, seeing the sunrise, sunset. It really made like the trip that much more memorable. So definitely recommend the Riverside Hotel. We ended up getting there really late, 10, 11, and then we just went to sleep. So that was night one.
I'm looking up pictures of the hotel right now, and I don't see the balconies that you're like. I'm trying to find pictures of like the rooms and the view, and like they're not really showing that, but it does look like a very nice hotel otherwise.
I'm gonna send you my TikTok and you're gonna be like, wow.
Yeah, if you could send me if you have any pictures that I could put in the video for whoever's watching on YouTube. I don't know if you have any pictures of it.
I do. Michael took like a
Yeah,
million. Yeah, he's
perfect.
big picture taker. And it
Good.
was so cute, like, because my mom's always like, take pictures for me, and I never do. And he was actually in constant communication with her, like, look, this is where we're at now. Look at her here. Look at her there. And
Aw.
she's like, wow, why did it take Michael for me to know what you're doing on vacation? So that was funny. But Yeah, the hotel, I guess it's like a hidden gem. It's still very close to the city, but you still have a little bit away. It's on a boardwalk and it's so beautiful. So 10 out of 10 would recommend that hotel for sure.
So is it on that strip by the water with all the restaurants?
Yes.
Okay. So that's not
Yes.
really that out of the way at
But
all.
compared to the other JW Marriotts, which are literally in the city, which I personally don't like, I like being a little bit away by nature, and so does
Mhm.
he, because we're both like earth signs. So like we kind of need that to not go crazy. So for us, it was like a huge difference.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on what kind of person you are because some people
Hmm.
would prefer that, yeah, like you and Michael would prefer that more quaint, just by like all the cafes. I think I'd prefer that too, than
Yeah,
staying
I
like
think you
in
would.
the
You would
middle of the
like it.
city. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
it looks very nice. It looks very, the outside looks old, but the inside looks modern. That's kind of what I'm
Exactly.
getting.
Yeah, inside is extremely modern. They have a lot of business conferences there. It's absolutely beautiful. We even just hung out in the lobby. It was so spacious, so beautiful. You'll see in the TikTok.
You know, I
But
actually think I walked past this hotel.
oh wow.
Yeah, like the smokestacks look very familiar.
Mm,
I think
yeah,
I walked past it.
beautiful hotel.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I didn't even know it was a hotel when I walked by it. I was just like, oh, factory. But
Yeah, it kind
yeah,
of does give that vibe, but it's really nice inside.
it looks beautiful.
Hmm.
So let's
Yeah, so that was day one,
so you
kind of.
just kind of got there, that's it? Or
Which I actually really liked. And Michael and I are actually planning another vacation, which we'll tell you at the end.
oh,
And we're doing it the same way because we actually loved, we always talked about, both of us, how when you arrive somewhere in the middle of the day, then you're so exhausted from traveling and then you still have a whole rest of the day to do stuff. And it's like
mhm.
so overwhelming. But we loved having a kind of an evening flight so that we're exhausted, but then we could have a really good night's sleep. So
Yes.
we actually preferred that.
Yeah, I do see what you mean with that. I think I am able to function after getting off a flight,
Mm,
but I know a lot of people aren't.
hmm.
So I do think that's a good idea. Just it's better so you wake up the next day and have like your mind is fully there when you're going to see the things you want to see and do the things you want to do.
Yeah, and him and I are both kind of like last minute packers. So it gives us the whole morning, afternoon to pack. We went to Applebee's before it. Like we had so much time on our, and he worked too the morning of.
Oh well.
So we just had so much time to like really get that flight in. So that was nice.
Yeah, it like didn't ruin your whole day.
Exactly.
So let's move on to so that's day one. You basically just flew in, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So what did you do day two?
Okay, so day two was packed. That was our first full day. So we both kind of were like, okay, let's wake up and then decide what we want to do from there. But we did do a little bit research beforehand to see what places we'd like to go to. So the first place that we went to was about a 5, 7 minute walk from the hotel. It was called Cafe M. Very trendy, really, really delicious food. He got a bacon, egg, and cheese on a croissant with a cappuccino, and it was delicious. The people there are so chill, like they really take their time to make the food. And there's a sign actually outside of the restaurant that it's like, this food's going to take time and the coffee is going to take time. If you're in a rush, you have somewhere to be. We'll recommend other restaurants or cafes around the corner, but we're not having that energy here, which I just
Wow.
love that for them, really setting boundaries already, like iconic.
That's a healthy relationship.
That's a good, it's really healthy. People need to learn from Cafe M.
Yeah.
So it was just so chill. It's the kind of place you could stay all day at. We didn't, but it was very tempting. It was delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
sounds
that
good.
was the first stop on the way was Cafe M. Totally recommend that. Next, we just wanted to have a really chill morning. So Michael was like, let's just explore, which I love. I feel like I don't do that enough of just exploring a town. So we checked out the shops on the boardwalk near our hotel, and it was just so fun, so interesting. They had a place called Savannah Candy Store, and it is like the biggest candy apples that you've ever seen in your life. And like a dum dum lollipop was like the size of my head. They don't mess around when it comes to candy in
Wow.
Savannah. They're huge into candy.
I did not know that.
Huge. You have to see in the TikTok. It was I've never seen candy. I'm not into candy,
Neither am
so
I.
for me it wasn't super tempting. But if you're into candy, good luck going into that place. It's intense.
I feel like I wouldn't have even walked in, so you're more into candy than I am, but that's pretty cool.
No, but Julia, I thought about you. You know what they also are really big into there?
What?
Popcorn.
See, it's funny you bring that up because I got popcorn there and it was not good.
Oh, so
Yeah.
we were probably in the same place because they had a whole store dedicated to popcorn.
Yeah, I went to the popcorn dedicated store and it was like
Oh,
it was not good.
okay. See, two different perspectives on the same thing. I know myself. I know I don't even like popcorn, so I wasn't gonna get it. But I
Uh-huh.
feel bad that you really love popcorn and that you were disappointed.
Yeah, it was a letdown. I don't know what it was about it though, but it looked really good. It smelled really
Yeah.
good, but it did not taste really good.
Okay, so
Yeah.
for those out there who are into it, maybe it's not as good as you think.
That place was cool though because they had so many different flavors of popcorn. Maybe, I don't know.
Hmm.
I just got the regular butter flavor. Maybe their other ones are better. I mean, I have popcorn every day. My expectations are through the roof.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't think it's a bad place in general. Like a lot of people going to Savannah would probably figure out what place I'm talking about. But I guess I recommend it because there are a lot of other flavors if you're into that. There's like hundreds. I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me.
You know what? It was just a really cool place to explore. So
Yeah, a lot
that
of
was
interesting
fun.
shops.
Yes, very interesting shops. So, that was just for about like half an hour. We did that. And then we were a little bit tired. Again, I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but it's really uncanny how similar Michael and I are. We both got tired. So we went back to the hotel to relax. We got some Starbucks before then, though, because we both love Starbucks. So we just had a refresher, went back to the hotel, relaxed, and then decided what to do for the rest of the day. So after that, after we relaxed, the next thing on our agenda, which is a must do in Savannah, is Forsyth Park.
Yes.
And you've been there too. So I'm kind of curious about our different perspectives on the park. What was your perspective first?
My perspective is pretty much null and void because it looked beautiful, but I didn't
Hmm.
really get to go in because I was like, I told you my visit to Savannah was very quick. So we were trying to fit in as much as possible. So I just wanted to like see the park just to know what it looks like. And then once we were driving past it and I told him like, stop, I want to get out. I want to go see it. And and my husband was like, no, no, we don't have time. So he like slowed down, rolled down the window so I could take some pictures and videos and then kept moving.
Then out of there. Yeah.
Yeah. But it looked so pretty. I was like, it looks beautiful. Like you have to stop the car. And he's like, there's nowhere for me to park. I can't. So
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
experience is probably, yours is probably better.
It was good. I think it's a must do. I don't think it's the end all be all, honestly. It had an absolutely beautiful fountain. The trees were beautiful, Spanish moss covered, very gorgeous. They had a little market center where people had stands, but honestly, the stands were just okay. Like people selling their own jam or honey or celery. Michael was like, why am I buying celery? Like I'm in Savannah. Like I'm not trying to buy celery. But like it was cute, but like nothing really that intrigued us. What was fun though, they had a nice restaurant and we were
The
considering
park?
going there for lunch.
It was in the park?
It was in the park.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
like a restaurant lunch place, which I would recommend. That probably needs reservations though, because it's very trendy. But there was a drink place outside of it. So we both got some mimosas and we just walked around the park with them. And that was really fun. Like
That's
that
really
part was
nice.
nice. Yeah, it was
They'll
like very cute.
they'll let you walk around the park with a drink.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's very
Savannah's like
nice.
New Orleans where you could buy alcohol and walk around with it.
Yeah, I forget other places are like that.
It's really cool because
Yeah.
nobody's like messy about it. They're like, cool.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really nice.
So that part was really nice. And then Michael, actually, I don't know, I guess he's into architecture. He really wanted to check out the cathedral because there's a very beautiful cathedral in Savannah. It's called St.
Yes.
John the Baptist. And we walked in, it was absolutely stunning. And it's super cute because I grew up Catholic and he grew up Jewish. So he doesn't know anything about Catholicism. He knows some things from what I tell him, but it was so cute. Like we were walking around the cathedral and I'm like, here's the stations, here's the stained glass, this is what this means, this is what that means. And he was like, oh wow, like so it was a really cool place to introduce him to. And it's so beautiful. Like even if you're not religious, you could definitely appreciate the architecture and just the vibe of it.
I agree. We
That was
drove
cool.
past that also, and that was another place where I told my husband to stop the car and he couldn't find a place to stop. But we did drive past it and I got a bunch of pictures and videos of it. It's so pretty.
Yeah, it's absolutely
Beautiful.
gorgeous. And it's just a little walk from Forsyth Park. So we actually parked the car that we rented at Forsyth Park, walked to St. John the Baptist, and then we got hungry and we found our way to a pub slash restaurant. It's called O'Connell's. Would definitely recommend if you're in that area of Forsyth Park or St. John the Baptist, like it's in that area. And really chill vibe, very spacious. They have inside, outside. We sat inside. It's just like a really good, chill Irish pub vibe. I ended up getting shrimp and mac and cheese and collard greens, but I didn't like the collard greens. And then Michael just for his culture, he got a Reuben pastrami sandwich
For his culture.
for his culture. A little bit of home, which he was literally obsessed with. If you watch my TikTok, you'll see him bite into it. He was so happy. And I was happy as well. It was just a really nice lunch after all that walking.
You can't go wrong with an Irish pub. You really can't.
You really can't. Everyone is so nice there. The wait staff, everything. It was just really chill. And it was just, like I said, in the same area. So it's just good to go to one, two, three, and you're done. So
Yeah.
that was nice. Yeah. And then after that, again, we decided to go back to the hotel and recuperate and regroup. So then Michael was like, okay, after the hotel, like, let's just explore the actual city because we haven't really been in the city itself. And it was nice, there's a bunch of restaurants, bunch of bars, but without a direction, it's kind of hard to find the best place. Like you can, but I would recommend kind of knowing where you want to go.
What did you
So
think of the actual city part? Because when I was there, when we first got there, we wound up in the actual city part. And I said to myself, I was like, ooh, Katie's not going to like this. And then when we got by the water, I was like, okay, now I think Katie will like it. But at that point, I was like, maybe I should tell Katie not to come here.
yeah, I agree with you. The city part itself is very bland. Like it's pretty much if you've been to any city, it's just what that looks like. And like I said, they do have restaurants and places, but like it's just kind of normal. I
Mhm.
completely agree with you. If they didn't have that riverside, I would be so disappointed. But fortunately, they did, and we were only in the city for a very brief period. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, when I first got there, I was like, oh no. So I'm
Yeah,
really glad that you like had your experience by the riverside and
yeah,
it
for
wasn't,
sure.
yeah.
Yes, and then we ended up finding our way back to the riverside because the city was fine. And we were both still really full from lunch. So we just wanted a quick appetizer. And there was a place, I don't remember the name, but if you're just walking around the river, you'll find it. And we had just yummy bread with cheese. It was really, really good. And we just had like margaritas and we just watched the river. And there was also this band playing. And then after we ate the appetizer slash dinner, I guess that was dinner, we ended up going to see the band. They were playing like Motown and stuff, and we were dancing. And that was kind of it. And then we went to sleep at around 10, 11 o'clock.
That does sound like your ideal day. I could see why you had a
Yes.
nice time.
Well, funny that you say ideal day because the next day, which was Sunday, I'm 100% going down in history saying that it was the best day of my entire life.
Whoa. All
Yeah,
right.
that's a big statement, but at the end of the day, I was just like that there is just no day ever that can compare to how consistently joyful I was the whole day.
Wow. Okay, let's hear it
Yeah.
then.
Okay. Well, it's literally going to be the most basic things. You're going to be like, that's your best day ever.
But it makes sense because that's just how you are, though. You're very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It's the
like
simple
things like
things.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And this place is just like if you love the simple things, this is the place for you.
Yeah, that's why like I think the South works for you because you're just like into simple things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were kind of saying that we like the slow pace and we kind of felt like we fit in. There was no honking going on. There was no yelling. It was just everyone was happy to be there.
Happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you
Maybe one day, not that I would live in Savannah, but that we would move to the South one day.
Yeah, I was about to ask, would you and Michael move to Savannah? So,
Maybe
it's
not Savannah, but I think we would move to Florida. I think, give it maybe 10, 15 years when I'm like around 45, 50, I would definitely consider a slower pace.
I think in 10, 15 years, you'll be a lot younger than 45, 50. At least I hope my math is correct because that's really soon.
How old am I? 25, 10 years, 35. Yeah, you're right. So probably around like 40, I would definitely seriously consider moving there with him because even he was talking about his family, they all want to move to the South. They all want to move
Really?
to Florida, all of them, every single one.
Oh,
So
make it a
I
family
think,
thing.
yeah, because we would want our family around. So that would be really nice.
Yeah, that would be nice to have
Because it
everyone
really
around.
fits both of our vibes. Like we are not city people. We are very similar in the fact that we like find joy and just going to cafes and walks. Like that's all we do when we're here. So
Yeah.
we just kind of did the same thing, but like all day somewhere else.
But it's nicer like with a different pace because if when you do it in
Exactly.
New York, you almost feel like you're doing it wrong because like nobody else
Yeah.
does that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but in the South, everyone does that.
Yeah. So definitely our vibe. But so that's why I was kind of saying too, a tour wouldn't really have fit in that day. It was just slow paced. We were walking, we were exploring. I just felt like a tour would have been rushing things.
Yeah, it would have broken
Yeah,
things up.
exactly, which I didn't want. So, are we ready to get to the best day of my whole life?
Yes, let's hear it.
Okay. So, we started the second day early. Me and him wake up really early, like around like 7. So, we're hungry and we went to this place called Two Cracked Eggs, which I think is pretty famous in Savannah. It's just super southern breakfast. They have everything there that you need. Very delicious. I think I got like a something like a bacon, egg, and cheese on a biscuit and coffee, which was really good. And he got French toast. So we were both very happy with that. It was delicious breakfast. And it was right by our hotel, like a 5-minute walk. So 100% would recommend Two Cracked Eggs. And then we decided to go what's called the city market. So the city market is kind of a bunch of stores in the city, but it wasn't like where you were saying that I wouldn't like. It's more alive. Like there's so many people there, so many things that you could do. So we went there to explore. We got some like margaritas. Like there's this one store that's literally just like margaritas and wine, and they make like not like smoothies, but like it's kind of like slushies out of it. And
Yeah, yeah,
it
I
was
think I've had
so.
those.
Did you see it?
No, no, I actually didn't go to the city market. I didn't know they
Mm,
existed.
yeah, it's really nice. You'll see in my TikTok. But I think you might have brought up to me because you said there was like a daiquiri store in
I
New
don't
York or something.
in New York?
Maybe not.
I don't think it was me.
So I don't know, but
It's
it's
interesting
kind
though.
of like that energy where they make these like slushies like out of wine or
I
whatever. It
have
was
had like wine
delicious.
slushies. I've had those before, but I don't think I was the one that brought that up to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what we had. It was so good. And then we got hungry and we went to this pizza place in the city market. You can't miss it. Everybody's eating there. So we ordered 2 slices of pizza, which Julia, I mean, you don't like pizza,
Blech.
but the slice was bigger than my head. It was
Wow.
the biggest slice of pizza I've had in my whole life. It was so delicious. We were just sitting on the bench, just like loving the moment. Oh, by the way, the weather was insanely beautiful, so mild, like 70s, not too hot, not too cold. It was just the perfect temperature. And we were just enjoying our pizza and relaxing at the city market. And we just had the best time there. We probably spent like an hour, 2 hours there, just with the margaritas and the pizza. It was delicious.
So how
So
did the
then
pizza measure up to New York pizza? Because I know New York pizza has a reputation. I'm sure you're very familiar with it. And I know a lot of Southern pizzas don't really measure up.
I think they did it based on like a New York vibe. I think the people who ran it were from New York, and you could see all the people who were sitting down eating, which we didn't sit down and eat, but most of them were actually from New York. Like I saw people with like New York hats and New York tattoos, like they were from New York. Um,
So that's
and
the
they were
place
all
New
loving
Yorkers
it.
go.
I think somebody even said like the guy next to us was like talking to his friend, and he's like, "Wow, it tastes just like New York pizza." So it's
Wow.
pretty much like, and honestly, I'd even consider it better than New York pizza because they're overdoing it. Like they're making it even better than a New York slice. It was just, oh, so good.
Wow. I've actually
You'll
heard
see my
that
TikTok.
places down here ship water from New York down to like down here so their pizza tastes the
Wow.
same. Yeah, because it's the water that makes it so different, I've heard.
Yeah, so I feel like that is probably accurate. They had a little counter if you wanted to pick up the pizza, you just pick it up, or if you wanted to go inside and eat, you could. They had a whole bunch of different toppings. I kind of wanted a topping, but I was like, let me just keep it simple. So I'm happy I did because it was so good. But if I was gonna go again, I'd probably get like a broccoli slice or something because I love
Yeah,
broccoli.
I'm sure you'll be
So,
back.
oh yeah, especially if you want to go back, I'd totally go back. Even
I feel like
though
you're making me
I'd be
want to go with you.
nervous.
Why? Oh, to like
Yeah, I'd
ruin.
be nervous if it wasn't like, when you go back a place a second time, and you're like, ugh,
Yeah,
I don't want to feel that way. But if you wanted to go, I'd totally go with you
I
because you're
do
fun.
want to go, but I don't want to ruin your experience either. And also, it's not number one on my list. I'd like to go back, but
Mm,
I feel like if I wind up there, I'll wind up there. And if I don't, then I don't know. I feel like I will
yeah.
eventually.
Yeah. I mean, you're
Yeah.
close enough that you really could. But
Yeah.
so then we went back to the hotel to relax a little bit because we were in the sun a lot. And we just relaxed for a lot. Like I said, we were so happy we got a balcony because we could just sit on the balcony and it was away from the sun. Like there was like a little place for shade, but you could still enjoy the view. So that was really nice. And then we ended up, oh, by the way, the day before, I was supposed to have reservations for Vic's on the River, but since we weren't hungry, I canceled them. And it's also why Michael's great because he's like, oh, who cares if you've made reservations? Just cancel them. Like, not a big deal. I don't want to go either. So
Hmm.
like we're very similar and like we don't care if we cancel anything. So we
Yeah.
canceled on that. And so the next day I made reservations for a place called the Ordinary Pub, which was one of the most delicious dinners. Do you remember that place we went to in New Orleans where you ordered the steak twice?
Yes.
So
How
it
can I
was same
forget?
energy.
Really?
Same energy. I feel like the place that we went to was a little bit upscale,
Mhm.
but this place was like lower scale, more chill, but the food was still very delicious like that.
What was it called again? The Ordinary
The
what?
Ordinary Pub.
The Ordinary Pub. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta
So it's
remember
kind of
that.
hidden, but it was so delicious. We had the best time. He just had a burger, I had a steak, and oh, the atmosphere was great. It was just delicious. We had a glass of Pinot Noir. It's just very calm, very chill. So that was really, really fun. And then we walked around for a bit, and then we ended up getting dessert, which they also have fantastic dessert places in Savannah. We ended up going to Lulu's chocolate bar and shared a slice of some sort of like strawberry shortcake kind of cake, but it was a little different, but it was so good. And then we ended up just walking back to our hotel. And like I said, going to bed at around 10. So it was just the perfect day. It was just like food, conversation, coffee, relaxation, just completely 100% balanced. Not a second was I upset, was I cranky, was I longing for anything. It was just giving me everything I needed.
That is so nice. I feel like I need a day like that. That just
Yeah.
sounds like the best day. Even though I feel like to some people they'd be like it's missing something, but I don't think it
Mm,
is. It just
yeah.
feels very like pure.
That's, I think, the word for it, pure. And at the beginning of the day, we ended up walking into like where you book the tours, and they said they had a really beautiful sunset cruise, and we were like, we should consider doing it. It was about $70. No, maybe I think it was $50 to just go on it, and then like 70 or 80 for dinner. And we were like, maybe, that could be fun. But since we got that hotel, we were kind of like, we don't need to do that. We've been seeing the river every night, and we could just go back up to the hotel to see the river. So we ended up not doing it. And we're really happy that we did because the dinner we had was just so low key. And I'm also the type of person to get very stressed out very easily. So if I feel like it's like go, 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 or if I feel like I even for a little bit don't want to do something, I'll be very stressed. And I did not feel that at all the entire day. I just felt like just like a flow. There was just a flow to the day where it was just like, and now here, and just like its own time,
Like
which is I feel
natural,
like
yeah.
is so natural, which also I feel like is like how I feel like with him. So it's kind of like how our relationship is like how that day was. So it was really nice.
Yeah, I think maybe it wouldn't have been the best day of your life if you threw that in there. It might have kind of ruined a couple moments just with like anxiety trying to catch the
Yes.
boat and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we were thinking about that when we saw the people getting on the boat. It's like, oh, you don't think like you have to get on the boat and then wait for everyone to be on the boat and then you're getting off and it's like a half an hour process. It's like there was no waiting around. We just were like in, out, over here, over there, just all over the place, but also slowly all over the place.
Just everything on your own schedule.
Yes, exactly. It was the perfect day.
That's really nice.
Yeah. So, but then the next day,
Oh boy.
it was just
The
like funny.
worst
God was
day of your
like,
life.
no, but it wasn't great.
Okay.
It was not great. God was like, however good this day was, you're gonna like hurt this day.
You got to make
So
up for it. It's a balance.
yes, it's a balance, and I understood that, and I told God I accepted the challenge. So that was weird. So the third day was the last day. We had a flight booked for 4 o'clock, which I like because we had like, the morning and afternoon. So like I said, I really like that like first day, late flight, last day also kind of late flight. So
Mhm.
that was nice. So what happened was, I don't know what happened, but I guess the pillow support wasn't good, and I ended up pulling a muscle in my neck.
On the
And
plane you're talking
no,
about?
no, 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 going to sleep.
Oh,
So
okay.
when I woke up, I couldn't move at all.
Oh,
I
that's
was
happened to me before.
paralyzed
That's
with
awful.
your neck.
Paralyzed. Okay, don't be dramatic.
No, I could not move my neck. Like if I moved it a slight inch, there would be a wave of pain, so much so that I couldn't see. Like it
I
would
know
just
what you
blind
mean.
me with pain.
I've had
Yeah,
that
because
before.
I pulled a muscle. It was just like, what? And it was so funny because I woke up, Michael, it was like 6 a.m. And I'm like, Michael, don't be dramatic. Don't freak out. But I can't move.
Oh my God.
And he actually had a dream about somebody who was like paralyzed and couldn't move. And he was like,
That's
oh God,
no, that's odd timing.
really weird. And he's like, can you move your toes? Whatever. But I could. But I could not move my neck. It was so bad. So the whole day, I just could not move my neck. We ended up going to a store and getting a leave. He was rubbing like icy hot on me all day. It was just horrible. And
Oh,
I was looking at everybody with their nice necks, they're moving
they're
around.
nice
I was like
necks.
so jealous. Like, must be nice to have a neck that swivels.
Yeah, if you see anyone complaining, just be like, at least you can move your neck.
No, literally. So, but I mean, this probably wasn't the best idea, but I'm still happy we did it. We're like, let's just do like one last funnish thing on the last day. So we ended up going to a place called Wormslow National Park.
Okay, never heard of it.
Um, Also really glad that we rented a car because we could just drive there. Otherwise, we probably just would have gotten an Uber and gone straight to the airport. So it's called Wormslow National Park. It's famous. It's those trees that face each other and it goes down. There's like a path. It's a very famous scene. Like most people when they think of Savannah or like there's like a postcard, it's from Wormslow National Park.
Yes, that's what I was picturing in my head, and then I looked it up and it confirmed. Yes.
Hmm. So we drove down that path, which was cool. But honestly, the park itself was just like okay. It's not like Forest Park where it's like there's stuff to do and it's trendy and it's new and it's open. This was more like a historic site. I mean, it's a historic site. Uh, yeah, Wormslow Historic Site. I'm sorry, not National Park.
Okay.
But it was just like kind of boring and I couldn't move my neck and it was hot. And I don't know, unless you're extremely into history, like to the point where you only care about the history, I I don't know. I honestly wouldn't even recommend it. I don't think it's worth just seeing those trees. Like the trees are cool, but you have to pay $10 to drive through those trees. And it's just kind of like, I don't know.
And I feel like a lot of the city has these types of trees anyways, from what
Yes.
I saw. So
The
I don't,
Spanish moss, yeah.
yeah, so I don't know if it's 100% worth it because I'm scrolling through the pictures right now and I feel like it's nothing I didn't see in Savannah and I was there
Exactly.
for a day, did not go to this place.
Yeah.
So
So I don't know. It was okay. We were both kind of like, we could have done without. I mean, I'm happy I went to like do something. It probably made my neck worse, but whatever. So then we ended up going to the airport, and the airport is, fine in Savannah. And we went home, and that was it.
it sounds like a really good trip, except for the neck thing. But I mean, other than that, really good.
But you know what? It really makes me appreciate my neck now. Because like if anything's going wrong, it's like, well, at least I can move my neck.
Yeah, you will never be ungrateful about your neck again.
Exactly.
Yep. Every day, wake up and say, I can move it.
Exactly. So
Yep.
I think that was the purpose of that.
Yeah. To teach you a lesson
Yeah.
about your neck.
Yeah. I needed it.
A lesson you didn't think you needed, but you did.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So that sounds like a really good trip. So you mentioned that you and Michael are planning something else. Is
Yes.
it like similar vibes? What is the
Pretty
occasion?
similar vibes, not in the south. We are going to Lake George.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
you did mention
because
that to me.
yes, we're going at the end of June. Same setup. We're gonna leave on a Friday, come back on a Monday. We're gonna drive there. And I ended up same thing as Savannah. I found a really nice resort inn. So we're gonna stay at a beautiful like Lake George resort, and I paid extra for the lake view because I just feel like that's personally my value. That's where I want to splurge is the scenery and the nature. And me and him kind of spend a decent amount of time going back to the hotel to rest.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, you're a hotel girl.
yeah, like I won't spend the whole day there, but definitely an
You
hour
you
at a
spend more
time.
time than the average person, I think.
Yeah, and so does
Yeah.
he. So, so definitely if we're gonna spend a decent amount of time there, we gotta make it beautiful.
Mhm.
So we're really excited. We're just gonna similar energy I want from Savannah, just kind of like, exploring, maybe a little kayak, maybe go to a cafe, you
Yeah,
know?
Cafe Vero.
Yes. And yeah, so similar energy, and we're really excited for that.
That sounds really nice. Yeah, it's almost like you're emulating the vibe that you had from Savannah and bringing it into your other trips. That's good. I think trips like that, like good or bad, I think you should learn something from every trip you go on. And in the
Hmm.
case of Savannah, I think you learned a lot about like how you like to take things slow and go with the flow.
Yes. And we both were kind of saying, like, even though it was a shorter trip, like Justina, she did so much at her trip. I think she went for like 4 days or 5 days, and we only did like essentially 2 full days. We were both like, this was the perfect time. Like, if we had another day here, we probably would have done all those tours, but we almost didn't want to.
You
Like, we
didn't
were
need
kind of
to.
ready to go back. Yeah, we were ready to go back. And so we kind of also learned about ourselves is like, we like short trips, but packed with like really like good stuff that we like to do instead
Yeah.
of like a week or 2 week long vacation. I don't think either of us would have enjoyed that.
I mean, I think it definitely depends on the place. I know
Yeah.
for myself, I think a week in one place is a lot. So I
Yeah.
think like if it's a cruise, that's fine because you're like bouncing around going to different places
Yeah,
in
that's
1 week.
different.
But I
Yeah.
think 1 week in a city, you have to really want to be there. I don't know. I think that's a lot.
I agree. I think yeah, cruises are different because like you're in the cabin, you're over here, you're over there. It's like there's so much to do. But I think whenever I'm in just in one place for too long, I get like I get stir crazy. I need to do something else.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't know. I mean, not that I was in Savannah for very long at all, but I think you're right about the amount of time that you spent there. I can't. I think the day I was there plus maybe one more day would have been enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I can't really imagine like even the third day you had like you said like almost the third day you had was almost unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I guess when planning things just take into account what you want to do. Like you said, like you made a list of everything you wanted to do and
Mm-hmm.
like see how it fits into your schedule. But because I feel like a lot of places it seems like you need more time than you actually do.
Yeah, I agree. So just kind of like know yourself, know how long you want to go on vacation for, and just do what feels good to you.
Yeah. On that note, do you have any advice for people that are planning to go to Savannah on anything at all?
I would, at least with the planning process, do something similar to me where you're kind of researching different places, see what interests you, know yourself, know if you'd actually seriously want to do a ghost tour, you just doing it because you feel like you should because you're in Savannah. Don't feel like you have to do anything just because it's a must do. If you don't want to go to Forest Park and you want to do something else, do that. So I would definitely recommend that. Also, side note, Justina on her second day went to a place called Tibby Island, and it is just a regular beach in near Savannah. It's probably a half an hour drive. She took an Uber there. But for anybody who's considering going there, just know it's just a normal beach and there's no way to get out of that beach. Ubers do not come there to pick you up, similar how we were in Hawaii. They just don't think it's worth their time. She was calling Ubers, she was calling taxis. They're all like, we are not going to go pick you up. But she ended up like really like she was crying on the phone to the guy who dropped them off, and she's like, please, I'll pay you whatever, please just bring us home, we've been here for an hour and a half. So that's really important to note. Make sure you do your
Wow.
research ahead of time and where you should go, where you should not go, what might be unsafe.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I'm actually looking up pictures of that beach now. Since you
Mm.
mentioned it, I wanted to see if I would think it's worth it. And I personally do not think it's worth it at all. I mean,
Yeah, she said it's not worth it.
you could form your own opinion, look it up, but yeah, I wouldn't
It's just
risk
not what
that.
Savannah's known for, really. I think if maybe you've never been to a beach in your life, fine, but I don't know. It's not worth
Yeah,
it to
I
me.
think there's better places to go to the beach if you've never been to a beach in your life, unless this is your only opportunity. But then in that case, maybe bring your own car, like you and Michael had your own car. Don't
So
Uber.
we did have that option. Like we were seriously considering Sunday going to Tibby Beach, but it was a little bit on the cloudy side. So glad we didn't go because obviously that was the best day of my life. So really happy we didn't go to Tibby Island, but at least we could have, and we would have gotten our way back as
Yeah,
opposed to Justina.
I just feel like by the looks of it, it doesn't look like this would have been the best day of your life.
No, I think it
Yeah.
honestly would have been one of the worst.
Yeah, it doesn't look like your vibe. And like there's some pictures, it's really crowded.
Yeah, I think there probably would have been absolutely nobody there because it was like 60s and cloudy.
Mm,
That was just more of like a walking around kind of day, which we did. So that was good.
yeah. It would almost be boring then if like nobody's there and it's cloudy because
Kind
like
of depressing, yeah.
yeah, because it's not that spectacular of a beach to begin with. And
Yeah,
then you're just like walking around and there's nothing to do. Then
yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
I
So
think you made the right
just
choice.
beware to anybody going to Savannah to just be careful with that beach.
Yeah, I think if you have a car and some extra time, yes, but otherwise, no, basically
Yeah,
is what the vibe I'm getting from this conversation is.
yes. But other than that, know yourself, know your own planning process, what you prioritize, and don't compromise because I didn't. And I was so happy I went with a more expensive hotel, more expensive view. I just kind of went with the flow. And honestly, for me, I just thought about it now. The amount that I spent in the hotel, I saved with not doing all of those tours
Yeah.
because I know myself. So it's kind of like sometimes, you splurge a little bit here, but then you save so much more in other areas by not forcing yourself. So, like I said, just go with your own flow.
It balances out. It really does. If you know what you want, then
Yeah,
all your expenses just kind of fall into place. You're not
I
worrying
agree.
about any of those things really because you're not going to be spending money on things that you don't care about.
Yeah, like we did not want to do that sunset cruise. That would have been pricey ghost tour. We just did like kind of like free stuff, but we wanted to do it. We didn't compromise on it. So
Yeah.
that was good.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good trip. So I'm assuming
Yeah.
you would recommend it.
100% recommend it. I'd really recommend it for anybody. If you're on the older side, so much stuff to do. Even if you have families, still so much stuff to do with your family there. It's people like us. Even if you're somebody like Justina who wants to like go, pack your schedule. There's so much you could pack. And if you're somebody like me who just wants to chill, that's perfect too. I really feel like I can't say that this trip is not for anybody. I think you just kind of have to manage your expectations a bit. Like it's not gonna be, crazy entertainment level or crazy, this, that, the other. The Savannah is literally what you make it to be. So you have to know yourself and know what's gonna make you happy, and I'll guarantee you will have a good time there.
So you mentioned it's not like super entertainment focused, and I know bachelorette parties do generally focus on that. Would you recommend it for a bachelorette party? I know we discussed that a lot.
I saw like one bachelorette party walking around.
Mhm.
And I was like, ugh, that could not be me.
It would be like a
Yeah.
lame,
I mean, I know I said
yeah.
I'd recommend it for anybody. You could. Even me, as chill as I am, I think I want to have a little bit more party time.
It's like too chill.
There's like one club in Savannah.
Okay.
I would not recommend it. Like, yeah, I
Okay,
think honestly for my bachelorette party, I'd want to do a little bit more than
that's
that.
not the answer I expected. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw them. They didn't really look like they looked fine, but like they're just kind of like walking around at
Yeah.
night where Michael and I were. It's just like wasn't that many people. And it was like a Saturday night, which I loved. But, if you're looking to party with your girls, nah,
Yeah. Okay,
not it.
interesting. Yeah, because
Yeah.
by the sounds of it, I was almost thinking in my head like that would have been a really nice place to do it, but maybe not. I think we maybe would have gotten bored.
Nah, I think Nashville is better for you, even though your experience, I still would have recommended Nashville again for you.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
More to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
why Nashville is the bachelorette capital of the world.
Yeah. I think you honestly
Yeah.
would have been like, this is so boring.
Yeah. I mean,
Just
I
like if
get
that's
that.
your intention is to like party with your girls, that's not Savannah.
It sounds like more of like a romantic getaway type thing.
Romantic getaway for earth signs.
Yeah.
It really is. I swear. Like if you are into chill vibes, Savannah, 100%.
It sounds like you had like a very romantic chill time. That's like
It
the
was
vibe
so
that I'm,
romantic.
yeah. Like
Like for us, like that was our level because we're not like candlelight dinner, this, that, the other. Like that's stressful to me. But cafes, parks, like to me, that's romantic, and that's what I got. So
Yeah, I know that's like your love language. So when I heard all that, I was like, wow, she must be living right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely wouldn't go there to party. Honestly, I don't know if I'd go there again. I think it was just so perfect in my head that I wouldn't want to go back and be like, oh, like this is not the same.
Yeah, I get that. And I feel like the only reason I really want to go back is because I didn't get a true experience of it.
Hmm.
I really just got a taste. And I mean, if I never make it back, fine, so be it, because I did get to see it. But I do get what you mean because it's almost like it had a similar vibe to Charleston from what I saw. Charleston was definitely a little more bougie, a little more Vineyard
Hmm.
Vines type, but overall the vibes were similar, and I don't think I'd go back to Charleston. I think it's just like one of those things you do, you see, you enjoy, and then you
Yes,
put it in your past.
I agree. I feel like that's kind of how I feel about Savannah. Unless
Yeah.
somebody desperately needed to go and I had to go with them, I'd be like, fine. But I wouldn't really, you know,
Yeah. Some
yeah,
experiences are better once.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
kind of how I feel about. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of like the kind of person who just wants to do something once and then move on to like, besides Lake George,
Hmm.
because that's completely different than we went in the winter.
Oh
Like I've
yeah.
never done Lake George in summer, so it's different.
Really?
No,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, I did it in summer, which is why I kind of wanted to go in winter. Number one, because nothing else was open and we had no choice. But
yeah.
number two, because it was just so fun over the summer and I thought at least some things would be open and
Mhm.
they weren't. But it's still like a cute town, it's a cute vibe. We got,
It was good for what we needed. All we needed was to get
yeah.
away, go in a hot tub, and that's what we did.
Yeah, we
So
just
for
wanted
that
to get off
vibe,
Long Island and we did.
yeah.
So it worked.
So, but I think I'll have a different experience, hopefully in June, of just like doing more stuff there.
I think you'll have a very different experience because when I went over the summer, I had a very different experience. We stayed on the
Mm.
water. We were able to swim in the lake, even though
Oh, that's nice.
I got bit by fish a lot. I'll warn you, they bite. But
Oh, I can't. I don't like that.
yeah, it's so
I don't. I don't do fish.
don't swim in the lake then.
Okay. I
There,
think my resort has a pool,
okay.
but you could see the lake, so I'll just
Yeah,
pretend I'm in the lake.
we stayed in a similar place. Like our resort also had a pool, but we
Oh,
wanted to swim in the lake because we were kids. So, but it's a really nice vibe. It's very family.
which I like. I like family vibes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed Lake George. Both times I went. Very different experiences. It almost felt like a completely different place, but I think you'll like
Mm.
it. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. That actually reminds me, I think when I try to think of like the vibe of Savannah, honestly, there were a lot of like couples. Like,
Yeah.
I think that was kind of overwhelmingly like couples in their 30s.
Yeah, I guess it's just
Some with kids, some without. Yeah.
one of those type of places like family or romance,
Yeah.
not romance, but like you know what I mean? Just like
I
a
think it's just like
spend
chill
time with your partner.
couples.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like the vibe I was getting was like spend time with your partner. There were some single people,
Quality
some
time.
families, some older people, but yeah, just a mix. But I think mostly couples, honestly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Based on like what your experience is like, I could see it's a really good place for just spending quality time with the people that you're close with.
Yeah, and I was telling
Kind of what I'm
Michael too, I
getting.
was like, I feel like all the couples are really happy here, which, obviously they're on vacation, but they seemed like really in love.
I mean, they might not be on vacation. Maybe they live there.
You're right, there actually were a lot of people coming in from different towns for the weekend. So maybe they just, yeah, like from somewhere else in Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, it's a city. People live in cities. I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
maybe they were just going for a walk and they were happy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, just a lot. Sounds like a
Yeah.
really happy city. I mean, even when I was there, definitely the rain brought it down a bit,
Mm.
but it still did seem like a really like happy, nice place.
It was, and it'll always live in my memory as such.
So did it meet your expectations?
It exceeded by a million times my expectations. Like I knew going into it, I wanted to go to cafes, wanted to go for a walk, but it was just even more beautiful. I didn't think there was a river. So like I knew I was on the riverfront, but I didn't think it looked like that. So it just exceeded my expectation in every way, with the food, with the parks, with the view. It was just better. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like overall you had a really great trip, and I'm really glad we finally got to talk about it.
Yes. It was
Yeah,
good.
and now I could finally watch your TikTok.
Yes. We have to wait. Can we watch it together?
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, after this.
Okay. Sounds good.
Not now, because no one will see it, and then it'll
No,
just
not
be like
now.
playing, and it'll be like dead silence for 2 minutes.
Yeah, it'd be awkward. But no, you should see it so you
Yeah.
could actually see what I'm talking about. And then you'd be like, wow. You're literally gonna be like, I know you talked it up in the podcast, but this video is just like, wow.
Okay, don't talk it up too much.
No, you're gonna say wow.
I feel like all right. Just don't get my expectations too high.
No, I'm telling you, they're gonna be even higher.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. We'll see.
All right.
I'll keep you updated.
Yes.
All right. So is that all we have to say about Savannah? Any closing remarks? Anything on your mind?
Nope. You know what? I was in love before, but now I'm in love with two things and deeper.
Michael and Savannah.
Yes. It exceeded my love for both of them in different ways.
That's all you could want in a trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point of going on trips, you know?
Yeah, to fall deeper in love
With life.
with whatever it may be. Just fall in love with
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Fall in love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a good message.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's the life lesson of today. All right.
And be grateful for your neck.
Oh yeah. My neck actually kind of hurts right now.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm really feeling that right now.
Okay.
That kind of hit home with me.
Be kind to your neck.
Yes. Yeah, I've been massaging it. I don't know if you've noticed on the camera. I've kind of been
Get
like
some
that
icy
the whole
hot
time. Yeah, we don't have any.
and a leave. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I should really do something about it. I don't know. It's like more like my neck. I'm like going down to my chest. I think from
Ooh.
sitting so much because I've been having my
Yeah.
conference, and I've been working so much, and school's ending. So it's just a lot at once. And I think that's what this probably is. But yeah, be grateful for your neck.
Yep. All right, should we do the trivia question?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So just to reiterate, there's only two places in the world without mosquitoes. Now, I told you one, it's Antarctica, but what's the only country without mosquitoes?
Okay. I don't know. I don't want to overthink it. I'm always wrong. I feel like I know my gut's wrong. So my gut is telling me that it's wrong, but I'm just gonna say Iceland.
You got it right. Yeah. Congratulations.
You know, I'd like to thank not only God, but also Jesus. No. Wow, I can't believe I got it.
I know.
Are you like as surprised as I am about
We're all
this?
in shock here.
We're all in shock. I don't know what made me, I just feel like Iceland is so cool. And yes, they have their little hot springs and this and that, even though that was totally away from my thought process before.
Yeah.
But my head was telling me something and my gut was telling me something else. And it was telling me, you're not pranking me, are you?
I'm not pranking you. Imagine. That'd be so mean.
It's New Zealand.
Like letting you go on this whole speech about how like proud of yourself you are, only to let you down.
Yeah, that'd be really mean. But wow, thank you for that.
Yeah, you got it right.
Wow.
1 point for Katie. And I think it might total as 1 point, but 1 point for Katie.
Wow,
No.
I feel so good.
Wow.
Why you always go with your gut.
Yeah, yep, you're right. So it's Antarctica and Iceland are the only two places in the world without mosquitoes.
Because I feel like when people talk about Iceland, they don't talk about the bugs.
Because there's no bugs. Didn't we ask Michael about bugs? Did we ask him that?
Maybe he just kind of
Oh,
said it.
no. We asked him that in the episode about Israel. Yes, I knew we talked to him about bugs once, but we didn't talk to him about bugs in Iceland because there are no bugs in Iceland. Well, I don't want to say that, but no mosquitoes.
There's no mosquito. There's no annoying. Well, I mean, there might be annoying, but no mosquitoes. So
yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there you go.
What a great way to end the podcast.
Yeah, right? The perfect podcast for you because you got to talk about your the best trip of your life, and we got
I
to
got
talk,
the
and you got the
wow.
question right. Yeah.
I'm on top of the world.
Yeah, couldn't have been better.
Wow, I feel good.
I feel good for you. Just a
Thank
lot of
you.
good
Yeah.
energy during this podcast. A lot of
Oh, good.
happiness,
Yeah.
happiness and positivity.
Falling in love with the podcast too.
Yeah.
Wow.
3 things to be in love with now.
Wow. So in love. Amazing.
All right, so is that all for today?
I
Or
think
I
that's the
feel,
perfect way to end it.
yes, I think it is. So with that, I will give my spiel. So if you'd like to find us online, it's www.runwaysandbyways.com. You could sign up for my budget travel planner. It's 30 pages to help you plan the trip of your dreams and assess your priorities, plan out your budget. So all you'll need to do is give me your name and email address, and that will be sent directly to your email. And you'll also be signed up for our newsletter, where I'll give you updates whenever we are posting a new podcast, or I've posted a new blog post or related news, anything we're coming out with that's new. You could also, if you're really only interested in the podcast, you could sign up for podcast notifications, where you'll get a notification every single time we post an episode of a podcast or anything related to the podcast. So that will also be on my website at www.runwaysandbyways.com under the podcast tab. We also have travel planning services. So if you need help with choosing your destination, if you need recommendations for a place you're going, or if you need general travel advice, we can give you all of that for a fair price. And if you want to find us on social media, you could find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Pinterest, all at Runways and Byways. And you could find us on Twitter at Runways and Byways. So instead of the word end, it's just the letter N. And our podcast, as you probably already know because you're listening to us somewhere right now, but if you don't, or if you want to listen to us somewhere else, we're available on Spotify, Apple, Anchor, which is now Spotify for podcasters. So same thing. I don't know. I'm just going to say it anyway, and I'm going to keep saying it. YouTube and Google Podcasts. And just a reminder about iHeartRadio, I am watching you. So I sent them our podcast and they still haven't put it up yet. Just giving them a little nudge. And that is all.
All right.
Yes. So anything else to say? That's it.
Life is beautiful.
Yeah, life is beautiful. A lot of exciting things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I'm sure we have a very exciting next episode of the podcast coming up. We haven't really thought it out yet, but I'm sure it'll be great. So stick around, and yeah, we'll be back to talk to you next time.
Awesome.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Whether your plane is taking off from the runway
Or you're driving down a byway
we'll be your guides
through it all.